I don't think that I play video games like real video games. I play like this AFK arena on the cell phone. That's just basically
that's
like
not a video game.
It's like a time based thing. Like you're
It's almost a video game.
You're waiting to get like
It's close.
Like you don't touch the game and you get experience.
They said, who hates games? Gamers. Gamers hate games.
just
Let's
don't
make
like
a
the
game
grind.
where gamers don't game.
Yeah.
They wait and do nothing. But if they pay us money, they can not game even harder.
Let me tell you,
Just set your defenses every day.
It's small
Right.
investments that I put into the game because I have a lot of fun actually playing it. I mean, there's a lot of classes, a lot of equipment, a lot of different combinations. That you can do.
Farmville?
Huh?
Which one?
Essentially.
No, yeah, pretty much. But it's about $1.99 every few weeks, and then I've probably for this free to play game, I've probably
Oh,
spent,
hold on, Trudy. Stop listening right now.
No, she knows. She knows. She gets on to me for spending money on stuff I don't need to. But this is a cumulative. I've been playing this game for about a year, and I've probably
not bad.
And I've probably
This is Discover. We're here about some very high charges on your credit card. We need you to come out and talk to us right now.
You can't prove that I was or
You've been
was not
busted.
high when I made those. Dadgum, you
can't.
Discover.
You can't.
You might.
And they've taken him away.
I use a MasterCard.
Hey, everybody. I am Dane Holland.
I am Austin Shazam Pfeiffer.
Marcus Whitaker.
Richard the Rooster Laws.
And this is Nerd It Through the Grapevine, a podcast where four best friends get together and talk about our favorite pieces of past, present, and future nerd culture. We're just going to get right into it. I want to talk about brain chips.
Oof.
Oh boy.
Are you
Oh,
talking
man.
like
We're going there.
like superfoods that help your
know.
mind?
No.
Yes, Doritos has come out with a new.
He was thinking of the
Brain chip.
banana dried chips is what he was thinking.
You've been eating my brain.
No.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen Wrap Snacks?
What?
Wrap Snacks.
I've seen Rap Snacks.
Yep.
I don't know what a rap
Makes you a
snack
good
is,
rapper.
Oh,
but I
jeez.
do know what Neuralink is. Actually, I have no idea what Neuralink is, but I want to know what Neuralink is because Elon Musk wants to give it to me and
Yep.
make my brain be able to fight off artificial intelligence.
I've seen a little bit about this.
So how would a artificial intelligence be able to get into our brain without a microchip in the first place?
I don't know. This does seem like a perfect way for them to have access to our brains to
You know,
begin with.
wh-
But
yes.
I don't know. For me, I want to become a bionic man. I do not care. Whatever technology comes out, if it enhances anything at all, I will be subject like zero.
Try
Like,
out.
I don't care.
Right here.
Yeah, just let me do
Be
it.
right there.
So in 2016, Elon Musk founded this whole Neuralink thing. I think he gave like $100 million towards the like research for it and stuff like that.
$100 million?
Yeah,
Pocket change.
That
Pocket change.
that's nothing.
the $100 million man.
It's nothing. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're gonna be. So apparently, it's this like type of brain chip that's sewn into your brain, and it would come out the skull and have a USB-C type plug-in to be able to put like the processor or something like that. But apparently, he says that its abilities are going to include, this is according to Elon Musk, the abilities will be to be able to restore movement with someone like with a severed spinal cord, hearing beyond normal frequencies, stream music straight to the brain, which like cochlear implants for the deaf and hard of hearing, like that kind of, I mean, that's bypassing the eardrum and already just
Yep, this
feeding,
is going
which I
straight
think
to
this
the-
will be, I think this would be a step further, but I think that technology has already like kind of
like
laid
it's
the
a
ground.
step further.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a step further, but
That's a big
those
step right now, but
those definitely laid the groundwork for it. And then enhanced abilities, like in quotes, because that's what he calls them, greater reasoning and anxiety relief.
You say Raider?
No,
Greater.
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 No, that's a class you can pick. I want the Raider class chip in my brain.
Raider abilities?
Yeah.
Well,
So
maybe.
Wake up every
knows?
morning with a conch shell.
Yeah, so apparently he feels that AI has the possibility of growing beyond our understanding and taking over, which he's probably seen iRobot.
He has.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yes.
the right question.
So he's come up with this thing, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird and scary to think that have something sewn into you but I mean, our phone is practically sewn into us. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like it's
I mean, it's
constantly,
there.
it's in my lap right
But I
now.
can still drop it and break it though.
True.
Which I do a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to break this unless you broke your head.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So
That idea is scary to me.
it's odd.
Yeah.
Like,
Not me. I mean, honestly, what am I doing better in my life? I mean, what's it going to hurt to have a chip in my head that might give me superhuman abilities? You know,
Right.
is that something I've wanted for my entire life? Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
Ever since I watched
So-
Heroes.
But I just can't help but picture the horrific, like the horror sci-fi scenario that, that we all worry about.
Yeah. But, and this is,
they hack
it's,
into your brain and
yeah, it's
take you
weird
over
because his
Or just it leaks brain fluid and then starts frying it like you almost did the podcast tools here.
Ow.
do
With your
not
coffee.
I
spill
was not
coffee
even
Yeah.
close.
on the recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is strange because it's like he's saying that he wants to fight off this possibility of
Yeah.
us being controlled by technology by inserting technology directly into our brains with a sewing machine. But for me, like I said, for me, make me as enhanced as humanly / cyborgly possible.
He's crazy enough and smart enough to know what he's talking about with this stuff.
Don't forget rich enough.
And rich
I think
enough.
that's what
Yeah.
backs this entire thing because you can have
I
people
mean, he just
that
launched rockets. Like,
So is he or is he ain't part of that child sex cult that all the rich people are a part of?
no way.
I don't want to. This
No.
is not that
All right,
podcast.
I'm changing
No.
my topic.
This is not that podcast.
No,
Because what if that chip comes with acceptance?
no.
Absolutely not. I don't know what it's going to come with, but I think it's going to be.
It'd be
and
interesting.
we don't know how far away this is. On August the 28th, which is just a few weeks from now, he's coming out with more information about it. Which all of this is speculation and
Right.
his but everything else that he's done so far. I want to launch a car into space. He did
Whatever,
it.
yeah.
He wants to privately fund missions to space. He
Yeah.
has done it. To say I want to sew a computer into your brain, that's not far fetched to me.
It's
No,
not.
it's not. I mean, not in the world we live in now, but, I just think that there's always roads, you just got to be careful.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
Wait,
At what cost, you
But
know?
who's going to beat him to it? I mean, I think
yeah.
I think someone like Bill Gates would be more. I think I don't know. I think he'd be more scared of the idea, but I think Elon's just got no fear when it comes to this
I
stuff.
don't think
It's
he
like,
has any whatsoever.
but even if he doesn't succeed, a lot of this is going to move towards something.
Sure, yeah.
Like,
I know exactly what it'll be.
of course you do.
Exactly what it'll be. We will have the Elon Musk brain chip, and people will be receiving enhanced abilities from it. They'll have hearing like dogs. They'll have, the ability to understand music and languages that they've never even heard of before. And then Bill Gates will release the same thing that crashes way more often.
I'll just have one behind each ear,
Yeah.
so I can.
that-
one eye is Mac enabled.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you've got the Zune chip?
Jesus. Oh no.
Yeah, man, you got the Musk, I got the brain Zune.
So I think it's I don't know. I think it's a sane idea to be nervous about stuff like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
But at this,
It's exciting.
I just want
It's
I
exciting.
want the future and I want it right now because I don't want to be dead and then
Yeah.
we get stuff like this like going around.
I kind of like the Iron Man idea more, where you just have a house that you can talk to.
We already
I mean,
have that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like
in
more
my room,
accessible.
in my
Like,
room,
I'm-
I can tell a computer to turn on the lights.
But
and
I'm saying I'm talking like a 3D image pops up out of your coffee table every day. Sit there
Oh,
and just,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I just want crazy stuff
You're
like
talking
that.
about
Well, just get it-
augmented reality.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
completely.
Just
But,
get
but I
it
want
in.
it so accessible that it's just like electricity.
Just get an
You're
Alexa and a pop-up book. All you have to do is say, "Hey Alexa," and then you open the pop-up book, and there's this lady.
Yeah, true.
Cortana. That's who it is.
I don't speak Spanish.
No, that's fine.
I don't have the chip yet.
So I'm all for it. I want it.
I wonder if
think
there'll
it's
be
neat.
like sign up things, like you can like people are so nervous about it that like the first X amount of people that sign up for it will actually receive it, like a prototype version of it or something like that.
Well, it's going to be a surgery. Like it's a surgery to make it happen, and it's a surgery. It's brain surgery.
Yes.
Because
Well, how
it's-
invasive would this surgery be?
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want it gone,
Ooh, yeah.
how does it go away?
I'm
charging it.
never the first to get new technology. Like
No.
I'm always like two generations behind
Especially
on my
not this one.
phone. So I've got to be first on something. So
If you're gonna do it, might as well be a brain chip.
Mr. Musk, if you're listening, I would like to volunteer for the brain chip. What else do I have?
What
going
He's
else?
on?
actually hold on. He's actually calling me right now.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh
Yep.
no, it's Dane. Oh, yeah. Podcast nerd it through the. And he hung up. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. He was done.
He's done. That's all I wanted.
That's it.
I'll go to Mars before I'll get a brain
Really?
chip. Yeah.
See, I could die in space a lot easier than I could from a brain chip. I just feel like that's a
yeah.
possibility.
I want the surgery while I'm on the way to Mars.
Oh, wow.
Pass the time.
Yeah, well, in order to survive on Mars, we might need something
It's
like
the
that.
bundle deal.
The chip programs our body to accept different levels of oxygen to function.
Ooh. Now we're getting.
So now,
Now we're
we
getting
can
deep.
colonize Mars.
That's. I like this.
I think something else they could do is simulate drugs.
Orgasms.
What's the difference?
One's a lot more work.
I think you could simulate like an acid trip or like mushrooms
Yeah.
and stuff like that because drugs terrify me. But I would like to know kind of what's going on with that and the ability to just start it and stop it. Because for a lot of people that fear is like, I can't make this stop. Like it's that, is this going to last for everything? And you just kind of have to wait till it rides itself out. But with something like this, if it's messing with your like the electricity and chemistry of your brain, I think you'll be able to have a, I don't know, acid trip app. just be like, just click it and all of a sudden,
$1.99.
yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like they would have to have the chemical in it, though. But
I don't know.
What do I know?
Well, most of the time, what it's doing is just that
If it's
chemical
just a
that you introduce
reaction.
into your body is
Yeah.
actually making your body release more of a chemical it already
Yeah.
produces. So without that inhibitor to release that chemical, it wouldn't happen. So that chip would be able to release that same kind of
Right. I
signal
get
to
you. I
release
get
If
that
it just
chemical.
gave you the hallucinations of
Like
whatever drug you were doing, I mean, you could force that with
Hold your
electricity
breath
in your brain, I'm
for
sure.
120 seconds while spinning round and round in an office chair. It will save your ass some money.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of a less like well integrated version. Maybe I don't have the full capacity to understand how well integrated it would actually be to our brain.
I don't either.
If
yeah.
it can restore,
Maybe that's why I'm scared of it more so
Yeah,
than
yeah.
maybe you would be.
if it can restore movement to body parts
Yeah.
that are not able to move anymore.
Yeah.
Imagine the output that it could perform on already working body parts. Like this is superhuman stuff we're looking at here. I mean, even if it is just heightened senses, I don't know. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Really,
Well,
Mr.
stuff like
Musk.
that is easy to get excited
Holla at
about,
you, boy.
and that's great. My fear is that because I'll have my moments where I'm scrolling through and I just for some reason subconsciously and just keep scrolling through Facebook for way too long and getting mad and getting just bitter, and then just have that pumped straight into my brain. I'm a little wary.
Okay,
of.
but in this sense, that's almost like an obsession or an addiction.
Yeah.
What if this thing can help
Wow.
lessen that?
Yeah.
What if you can limit it to?
It takes away that urge to do whatever it is, and
It's-
you don't even recognize it because it's just happening.
It's that ADHD, like you
Yeah.
constantly have to be like moving around and doing something and changing, or like your eyes have to constantly be on a
Right.
screen, like scrolling and receiving new information.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And with
It
the
could dull that.
Neuralink, if more people had the Neuralink, that would open us up to a form of telepathy because they could connect through a digital signal in our brain, and we would have auto telepathy.
Because it's digital signals causing your like vocal cords to even work at the anyway.
Nerd It Through the Grapevine today is going to just be about this brain chip because I've not even thought about it or heard about it or anything, and now I want it.
It's interesting.
So this is
Yeah.
the coolest thing since the Furby.
I just yeah,
Furby was
a
pretty
Furby
cool.
with
Full of
Neuralink.
You know that the Neuralink is installed correctly.
Yum.
Yeah, so I'm very excited.
We'll all be Furbies.
I just want it.
basically.
Well, yeah.
Always
the
wanted to be a
Furbies.
Furby.
Yeah.
Richard, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
So I believe it was 2 weekends ago. I think it was TNT had a marathon. It just happened to be a Star Wars. And I was watching it.
Sorry, what was it called?
Somebody just knocked.
Did you say Star Wars?
Star Wars. Star Wars.
I'm not familiar, but continue.
Star Wars. It was the original trilogy, the new trilogy, and the CGI trilogy. All of them, but it left out the oddballs like Solo, Rogue One.
The good ones?
The good ones. So I actually went back and watched Rogue One. And I don't think it gets enough love. I really don't.
Rogue One was fantastic.
Fantastic. Not just as a Star Wars movie, but just as a movie.
Yeah.
So as I'm watching it, I realized that there was 5 moments in the movie that really just pulled me in. And so I thought I'd see what you guys thought about them.
I mean,
I want your honest reactions, right?
Coming in at number 5.
Backwards.
Coming in at number... Whoa.
Numerical order. You were way off.
Coming to the first one on this list today, the Rooster says...
It is when Cassian meets his informant at the beginning of the movie and finds out about the Death Star. You just find the dark side of the rebellion. Like, you always hear the rebellion's the good guys. And right there, first thing he does is he's getting this information. Stormtroopers approach him, and he shoots first. Just right there. Bam, bam, bam. 2 or 3 of them right now. His informant starts, kind of freaking out. Hey, what are we going to do? And his instant reaction is kill him, get rid of, the loose ends, and I can get out of here myself. And it just, right there at the beginning, it just kind of hits you. It's like, okay, this is going to be a different feel.
Yeah, these aren't all just good guys.
Yeah. They've got good intentions, but they still have to go through, like, evil actions to get there. But they're okay with it because in the end, it's good. What do you guys think about that scene?
I had the same reaction because as soon as he shot him, like I've got to save myself for
Yes.
the good of the rebellion.
Well, not just himself, but he's saving the rebellion.
And the rebellion, too.
He's
Yeah.
This guy captured,
Right.
could do anything, could tell him any information about him, and the fact that he's willing to,
Yeah,
just
because for him, it's not about the light side of the force or the dark side of the force. No.
it's a political idea.
It's a political idea,
and that's all
they're
it is.
Political extremists.
Yes.
Like I don't want to get ahead because you may have
No.
but like Saw Gerrera, do you get into that in these 5 points at all?
No.
Saw Gerrera in the movie to me is like a rebellion version of Darth Vader, which it's pretty obvious that too because of his breathing that they do.
Right.
It's kind of a call. I mean, it's an obvious in your face way of saying like this is similar to Vader, but he's willing to go through extremes just for the rebellion.
Yeah.
And you just, I don't know. We've never seen any characters like that before. It's always just been the good guys fighting the bad guys.
We've seen them just always with the Empire or
Yeah.
And
separatists.
It shows you that little bit of a deeper look into, there are bad things having to be done for the sake of both causes.
Right.
And, you're just having to go with the lesser of 2 evils with the ones that you're going to choose. The rebellion may still, be going for the lighter side of things, but that still doesn't mean that it's not twinged.
Right. It has its flaws for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this takes me back too to like Han shooting first. That's why it was so important.
That's why I even mentioned Cassian just shoots first.
Yeah.
Right. Right there. They ask him for identification, and his reaction is, "I've got to get out of here. Can't even, bam, bam, bam."
I thought Guido shot first.
Guido.
Oh
Oh boy.
That's wonderful.
He was some kind of Italian, I think.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so Cassian wasn't even the first to show us that it was actually Han, but over time, like for whatever reason, they can't just like leave it there. I don't know if it's them wanting to make him seem like a better guy, but that's the point, is to show that he's not the best guy and he has
That
actual
he's-
character
that he
development.
has
Plus,
a
he's
real
not officially with the rebellion at that point. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
But
But
he's
he's
just a smuggler.
Cassian's position he is.
Cassian
right?
is actually head of Rebel Intelligence, which would make sense why he's so
I
dedicated.
always appreciate the blurring of the line between good and evil.
That's what made me
think
like
that's really
Cassian
good.
in the movie. And it's a weird thing. Nobody talks about him. Nobody, you know,
No
he's
one buys his action figure. It's always left on the shelf with the
right,
Black Series.
it's all it's just sitting there, and he's such just a neat character in an awesome movie that just gets thrown under there. But then the next part is actually it's kind of close to there. It's right after they I'm gonna quote, rescue and capture Jyn Erso at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. So the rebellion goes in there, you know, they're like, this is her, let's get her out. They bring her in, and the first thing that they start doing is questioning her. So they've rescued her, in quotations, and they begin questioning her. And it's all the main people. You have Dodonna's in there, Mon Mothma, Leia's adopted dad's escaping me right now.
Admiral Akbar.
No, he does make he doesn't make an appearance. Not at all. Not at all. He'll come to him later. Organa, Bail Organa. Yeah, that was his name.
I helped
he came
you.
eventually. It did actually.
I helped
Bail,
you.
It helped. It helped. It
I
made
showed
me think
you the
about
wormhole, and you jumped
I looked at my notes, and I actually looked. Man, that's thank you. This is gonna work. But even like that moment there, they start off as an interrogation. That whole scene, they begin the interrogation, and it's like, who are you? You know, like, what do you know? Because they don't really trust her. And then immediately they flip. It's, you've got to help us. If you don't help us, we're sending you back. You know, you got to give us what we want. And then they flip it. Like, they do that for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then it flips again. Mon Mothma comes in, and she actually does mention Saw Gerrera, and then paints him as an extremist, and like, hey, he's making us look bad, and so people are associating us. And it's just such a political movement throughout that whole interrogation, where it's like they have 3 different systems they've set up during it, where they're coming off first as, you know, putting them on edge by like, hey, what are you doing? What do you know? Do you know this? Do you know that? Do you know this? Do you know that? And then they flip it immediately. You know, it's just the structure of the interrogation was just, I think, very well thought out. And it actually makes a lot of sense in it when you're trying to get somebody to do what you want. You throw a bunch of different like angles at them, catch them off guard. Mm-hmm. And it just really, I don't know, it really painted the picture of like what the rebellion was willing to go through to get the information again. You know, it's just, it kind of keeps leading into like, hey, this is dark. Mm-hmm. This is going to be something that, you know, you're not going to see something like this again in Star Wars, more than likely.
It adds to the complexity because the idea of Star Wars super simple.
Yeah, for the most part, you know, good guys, bad guys, overcome the odds.
Exactly.
There you go.
But inside that very simple, larger idea is where all of us, being super fans of this stuff, go crazy about it, because in the details, there's just little things like this small interrogation, but it can show that there's complexity to every decision that's made by all the factions, and just, I don't know.
And the manipulation and everything, because it all was just, they wanted something. Mm-hmm. They needed her for something, for her information, and then her to gain access to Saw Gerrera. And that was all they really cared about with her. They didn't care that she was captured. None of that mattered.
Austin, Saw it's not like a tool for cutting things. It's a person.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like cutter. Eddie Guerrero's cousin.
No.
The one that was
That's
Viva
Chavo.
la raza forever.
That's Chavo.
Oh.
That's Chavo.
Chavo?
Yeah.
I don't know who Chavo is.
Chavo Guerrero.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sure. Anyway.
It's not his cousin, but they're related. So.
What's your third point?
So, then it gets to probably my favorite point.
Number 3.
It's more of just your reaction to seeing this for the first time. Mm-hmm. It was Vader's castle.
Yeah.
Like, when they actually go there and you see where it's built, and you like,
we grabbed each other's arms.
It was
in the theater.
It's intense. I watched it this morning, actually, before I came over here.
Now that's research.
Yeah. 4 a.m. Watch the movie. Still got the same chill every time I see him. But it also gives you a different viewpoint of Vader, because when you see Vader for the first point in that movie, he is Moomy.
In the movie?
Moomy.
In the movie?
You never watch a movie?
I was gonna let it go.
Movie?
We don't let things like that go. We ridicule each other on the spot.
I'd have been very upset if you didn't say it. The movie. Right in the middle of it.
Exactly. We're gonna milk this movie
This
for all
movie's
it's
gonna
worth.
get milked all the way. It's because I'm watching my hands.
Try not to slap the
Try
table.
not to slap the
Another
table.
point in the movie.
The third one, they he's in the Bacta tank though, and he's being suspended by just these just being held there. And you just see him as just a human. He doesn't have any of his mechanical prosthetics on him. He's not in a suit. It's just the bits and pieces that are left there, and he's just so vulnerable. And that's your introduction to Vader in that movie. Is just bam, this is what he does. This is who he actually is.
It's what no one sees.
Nobody ever sees this. You see a glimpse of it in the original trilogy when he's in his meditation sphere
For like half
but
a
it's
second.
like, and it's just
Barely
his
in there.
it's just his helmet off. Really, it's not a good idea. But
One
you
of the
see
better
this.
parts of the Empire.
Which one?
One of the better parts of Empire Strikes
Yes.
Back was getting the
The
revelation of his mechanic underneath that helmet.
of who that he is a man.
Yes.
Yeah, but that movie, like that moment right there, gives you just a deeper. I don't know. You just see more of like what he actually is.
And since we don't watch trailers, we didn't even know
That-
that Darth Vader was going to be in the movie.
That is what I was gonna say. Also, with that is I had no clue he was like. I kind of assumed he would be in it just based on the time frame of when the movie was, but like actually seeing him and not knowing anything that happened, that was just like boom. There he
I
is.
sometimes still watch the lightsaber scene with Darth Vader, like the way that he just went ham on
Just
it.
ham.
And I'll sometimes just pull that up on YouTube and
Just to watch
just
it.
watch it.
Just to watch
Just
it.
it gets me pumped to do anything.
That's true.
Like there's an old lady walking into my shop and I know she doesn't know what she wants to buy and she's going to ask me a million questions about the old days.
Oh no.
I'll watch that lightsaber scene, and I'll just know.
You'll just know.
And I'll just know that people have had it, rougher than I have.
This.
I don't understand that anecdote at all.
Oh,
I
well,
get
at
it.
least I'm okay.
I get it. Have you
Oh,
not seen the scene? Have you not
I
seen
think
the
I've
scene?
Okay,
What do you mean?
I might not be looking forward to this next transaction,
Yeah.
but at least I'm not being picked up by the Force and dropped onto a lightsaber.
Yeah.
We get that.
Got it.
My favorite part is when he like steps out from the ship and he's just looking out into space, and he's like in this heroic pose with his cape blowing in the
And there's
space
little
wind.
dark spots.
Yeah.
It's just-
And he's just looking, and he's so ready. Yeah, I just really love that shot of him stepping out there.
that whole moment.
Yeah.
That whole moment. The Battle of Scarif. That whole, like, I talked to one of my buddies this morning. He happened to wake up also early, different time zone. So, but we were both talking. I was like, man, that's like a tearjerker. That whole battle, like the sacrifice that happens from all the main characters. Because at that moment, once they close that little shield gate right there, you realize like they're all dead. I mean, they're dead.
Okay.
Nobody's making it out of there. They're all going to have to do something. It was just like each little moment. It just tearjerker. Cheer it when he dies.
Oh yeah, this movie.
like-
Towards the end of it, I would say the third act was just like, okay, how are you gonna make me cry again?
Yeah, you just want Jen and Cassian on the beach.
The
You're
second
like,
and third watches, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched it, I didn't have that attachment to the characters yet.
Right.
Because I'd only just seen them for, a little over an hour. And that's when I was like, okay, this was a good movie. I liked it. But the second and third watch throughs, like, I know that I'm watching them do the same exact things as I did the first time, but I'm getting more and more connected to the characters. So their death, spoiler. If you haven't seen
That
it
one's
yet,
rough.
you're not going to watch it.
Whoa.
But yeah, like just getting more attached to them, and then them dying just hurts more every time.
More every
because
single time.
You understand their importance even more, like every time you watch it. Was that all 5? You just put your notebook down.
well, the last one's pretty obvious. I feel like the Vader scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
It's just.
That's all you got to say.
I probably watched it 3 times after it ended. I rewound it, watched it again, and I'm like, man.
You have it on VHS?
Yeah.
How?
The originals I do, but I wish I had this on VHS. If I could buy these on VHS, I have one working VHS.
What's great about that scene too is Vader's not really the one who makes it. It's the
Oh,
reaction.
it's the reaction of the rebels for sure.
Seeing them through
The
that
terror.
window of them having to shut the door, and he's just like screaming inside the window, and then Vader just cuts him down.
sheer
like
terror.
It's, you don't get that intimate of a moment with Vader and his victims.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's
as
terrifying.
that scene.
You
So-
watch it. I mean, the very first person that's down there, he's just screaming
and
for
it's
help.
effortless.
Yeah.
He's just walking and
Yeah.
doing this.
Just putting his hands up and just going through the motions.
No.
Just didn't even care about him.
It's like he's conducting an
Yeah.
orchestra of murder.
I like it.
The maestro.
A symphony of destruction.
Bam, bam, ba-da-da-dam, ba-da-da-dam.
Thank you.
That was it.
It only took us one episode to get into Star Wars.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
If we didn't have it now, we might as well get it out of the way because there's going to be
Blame
a lot
the marathon.
a lot more.
Had the marathon not to come on, this would have never happened.
No, I want it to
Never.
happen.
So I guess it's my turn, huh?
I guess so.
All right.
We don't really.
Well, mine is this show on Netflix, which has just completed its third season, its final run, and it's called Dark. Have you seen it? No, I know Dane has seen it.
I've seen it.
I have
I've not
watched
seen it. I know that Dane has seen it, and he has explicitly told me to watch it.
Yes,
I've not watched it.
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
it's really good.
Well, here we go.
So yeah, it's gonna be really hard to like put it all into words. Really, what I wanted to talk about is their just epic 3-season run that they've had, and just how well it was received. It took some people some time, and I think it'll take maybe even some more time for it to really catch on here, because it is a German show. It's dubbed in German. I actually watched the English like audio with well, I always put subtitles on.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. Like you can, it's a dub over the German. But I think I feel kind of stupid for doing that, because I feel like the performances would probably come out a little bit better watching it in its German with English subtitles.
I regretted
So-
that too when I first
Yeah.
finished it. I was like, man, I should have watched this like an anime, like where you like just read it subbed instead of dubbed. But
That's how I would have.
there
thought
will
of
be
it like
another
that.
watch through. Like,
Oh, for sure. And I can't. I'm actually really excited to watch it in German with the English subtitles. But y'all really need to watch it. It's some of the most mind-bending sci-fi out there. Like, definitely.
So
And
it's
it
a
just-
sci-fi.
Yes. It's really, really good. And it doesn't really take that long. I mean, like I said, I've only watched it once, so it doesn't really take that long for them to introduce those sci-fi elements, right? And it's like, it's pretty, it hits the ground running pretty hard. But I would suggest that each season kind of gets a little harder and harder to follow. But
get out your Hello Kitty notebook and start
Oh,
taking
wow.
notes, because names and
Oh,
timelines and
Oh,
yeah.
it gets
Timelines
really
are big.
wild.
Now, is there a main character?
It kind of is, yes. His name's Jonas. It is like an ensemble. So there's, I mean, and all the actors are really good. Watching the dub, they were all really good. Sometimes the dub may get a little lost in translation, maybe, since I feel like sometimes. But for the most part, it's extremely well done. And the actors are all great. And they really help you visually, too, because I don't know if this is a spoiler. It's a time travel show. It's called like a time conspiracy almost in this little town of Winden, a fictional town. And I lost where I was going with that
That's fine.
completely.
it works.
Well, and it'll do that to you because
Yeah.
it's-
Once you start
it's-
thinking about one
but,
thing.
Oh, I was talking about visually how they kind of help you along, because there will be cast members who are played by 3 different people, because there's
Ooh.
3 different timelines maybe sometimes.
So it's like different. Like it jumps that big in
Right,
the
but they do
timelines.
this really cool little shots where they'll kind of put up a character and then their younger self or maybe their older self side by side to kind of visually help you kind of get along. It really feels like a puzzle you're really trying to work out.
The casting, by the way, for their
Amazing.
former selves and like future selves,
Amazing.
incredible. Like most of the time, you do not have to have them side by side to be able to tell that this is the same person, just from a different time. And to me, that's insane, because the acting is pretty solid throughout for everybody. Well, but like you said, besides some of the dub work in it is kind of cheesy, but that's kind of
Plus, they're dealing with some really tough scenarios here
Right.
with the dialogue. They're having to talk
Yeah.
about wormholes, and they're having to talk
Right.
about
And
all
I'm
this.
sure there's a yeah.
You have to put that in there, kind of. You have to kind of do a hand wave, to make it all
Would you, as a first watch through, would you recommend? Which way would you recommend watching it?
That's a good question. That's a
Like-
very good question because I don't know.
If you're willing and you know you'll stick to it, probably the German. But
Yeah.
I haven't
German
I
with
haven't done it
subtitles?
yet.
See, honestly, when I first watched it, a dub, I was just like, oh, man, like, this looked so cool. The trailer was so cool. I watch trailers, by the way. I'm sorry. I know that's not
okay.
cool. Right?
It
But,
happens.
he's not one of
It
us.
happens. It happens.
But,
Exile.
yeah. I know. I love trailers, man. They're awesome.
The worst. We're trailer. Some of us here are trailer-free champions.
Yes.
Trailer free.
We want nothing
Nothing
shown to us. I
at
want
all.
it. If I know I'm going to watch it, if I know I'm going to spend the money to do it or the time to do it, I want it all to be new.
Tell me the title of the movie. Tell me who the actors are going to be in the movie. And I will tell you, I won't watch that trailer.
yeah, basically.
But yeah, y'all have got to watch Dark.
Like-
I mean, like, as far as paradoxes and things like that go, I mean, another thing, just the sheer ambitiousness, because I wasn't all that happy with the ending. I'll be honest, but
Right.
it's totally worth
The
a
season
watch
3 ending?
and a rewatch.
I
Yes.
agree. With something that complex, like, and when you're dealing with time travel,
But they
and
trust us so much. Those
everything.
writers that
Yeah.
wrote that trusted their audience too much.
A
Way
little
too
bit
much.
yeah.
But I love that in an
Yeah.
author. I
Oh, yeah.
really love that.
Yeah, they don't demean your intelligence.
No.
Like, it's like, okay, if you've stuck with us this far,
We're about to screw
you're thinking.
you. Yeah.
This is not a movie you can be doing, or a show that you can be doing something while watching it. You have
Right,
to
you
be
had to
completely
actually-
invested into it. And like I said, I wish I would have kept some notes, because there were times where I had to like look up a name real quick, just like Google it real quick and be like, okay, got
Right.
it, and I'm back.
Yeah, yeah,
Because-
but now that it's all out, I think a quicker, because I had to wait for season 3.
Yeah,
and
I
I
did
think
too.
that had a lot to do with why it was so mind bending,
Yeah.
even more so than the first 2 seasons. But I think that now that you can just kind of binge it, it'll kind of go over a little bit
It
better.
is definitely binge worthy, but also heavy material.
How long
Very.
is an episode?
I guess
Hour?
Yeah, it's an
Or
hour.
almost an hour.
About like the 52-minute thing.
Yeah,
that
one
Is
of
they
those.
it, is
see.
it a 12 episode season, 10 episode season?
I think they're like 8, 9.
Okay.
So it's under. So
Something
about
like that. It's
It's
not.
a pretty
8 to
short.
10
It's a pretty
hours per-
short little run.
Yeah.
But I really respect it for the ambition and, like I said, and how it kind of trusts the audience to
Yeah.
like follow them down through the wormhole, essentially.
right when you think, because there's been so many different time travel like attempts, like at stories and things like that, and then you have got something fun like Doctor Who, which is just has fun with the idea of it, and they're like, it doesn't all make sense, get over it, like, let's have
Right.
fun. Something like this, trying to make sense of a science behind their idea, like I said, I respect them for doing that, and it not being too out there.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of understand it, even though you do get pretty confused, you understand it enough to continue.
Please continue.
No, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop until he smells what he's done, and he hurts for it.
He looks like he's in pain.
It's just talking about all the sci-fi and everything else like that. It brings me to a show that I've been watching. It's a very weird concept. It starts off with a virus that is a government hoax, and then it actually ends up infecting that specific country more so than any other country in the world. And then there's this place that this guy's wanting to like insert these chips into people's brains, and all of a sudden people are starting to get radiation coming out of the earth that, and it like shows that we've been shifted into a different timeline, into a parallel universe. And man, it has been the weirdest show
String
I've ever
theory.
seen.
It's on Lifetime, right?
Oh no, it's on the news.
Oh yeah.
It's called This Year.
Speaking of the time travel and parallel universes and stuff like that, there was like evidence of an energy like leaving our planet in a direction that it cannot physically move.
We were emanating where we usually it passes through us. We're not a source of that energy. We are basically in that energy's path. So instead of that energy going through us and reading the way that it normally was, we were emanating that energy.
Which shouldn't be possible. So like through like research and stuff like that, it's like it's an assumption that it's a parallel universe that's moving in the opposite direction of ours.
Perfect.
And
How do I get to that one?
Exactly.
We're in that one.
Yeah. That's but the thing with like
The good-
time,
Well, I want to move the one that's moving opposite
the
of ours.
opposite of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that we used to be on.
Yep.
Before we crossed over. Yeah, this one's screwed up, man.
When
It's
I
so
heard
screwed
that
up.
it was going to be moving, like this other energy, this other parallel universe is moving in an opposite direction of ours, I was thinking, okay, so if it's literally the opposite of our time, people are born from their graves and live out their life getting younger, kind of Benjamin Button style. But they're born like you walk to a graveyard and people that's where people are being born, like they're coming up out of the ground, and then when you die you become one with the mother again, like, and she absorbs your life.
And then they all become one human.
and that's like,
Just crawl back.
what if that's the world?
2 souls in one body.
Still be better than this place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, plus off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. Have y'all seen that in the
Yep.
headlines?
Yeah.
What?
Off-world
What?
vehicles. Yeah, that also
The
happened this
Pentagon
year.
claims to have off-world vehicles not made on this Earth.
Yeah, they
They
released.
just briefed our senators, I think, on that. On
Yes,
this.
and they just released footage this year of the off-world vehicles that they were showing in mid-flight and releasing information about them existing and being a real thing and not a hoax. Like, these things exist. They're not calling them UFOs. They're calling them off-world vehicles.
Unidentified aerial threats or phenomenon
Yes.
or vehicles.
So
So
that-
UAVs.
That's also happening this year. Is aliens exist, y'all, and it's not even that big of a deal.
We are not alone.
Tom DeLonge knew it the whole time. Tom DeLonge knew it the whole time. He just said, "Mom, there's something in the back room."
It used to be all the small things, and now it's a very big thing. So yeah, all this conversation sparking like from that show's idea though. When you're watching it, you get these kind of things in your
Yeah.
head, like, oh man, what if? Like,
Well,
all
it
this
just
crazy stuff.
from the first episode, it just ramps up, man.
Yeah.
It just, and like, you know, we kind of like talking about authors and things, and as authors, they're warned against like, hey, be careful when you do time travel.
Yeah.
These guys just said, screw it,
Yeah.
we're going
We're-
there.
we're just doing
We are
it.
going to do it and then
Whatever
reverse
happens,
it.
happens.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
do it and reverse it again.
Yeah, flip
It's
it
great.
and reverse it. And
Exactly. I was hoping somebody would go
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
I did. Phew. I want Austin to talk about stuff
Yeah.
now. I'm tired of hearing about your stuff, and your stuff was
Well,
stupid.
no
and my
stuff.
stuff,
inevitably spun off into conspiracies.
yeah, mine didn't make any sense.
Maybe not even conspiracy.
I want to hear. Maybe he can save the show.
Yeah.
We need the chip so that we can understand.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
One of the many advances of my recently installed microchip is that I have a list of TV shows I forgot I remembered.
Hold on. Let me run that back. Okay. Yep.
A list of TV shows I forgot I remembered.
I'm ready.
Perfect.
Dinosaurs.
Whoa.
It's a good one.
Like not the
Dinosaurs,
mama?
Not the mama.
not
that
the
one.
mama.
See, we all know.
It was
No, no.
it
That
was
shit used
a-
to freak me out.
Listen, y'all, that was a 3-year span of television that was actually on a major network. It wasn't like Disney Channel or anything else like that. I think it was at NBC.
Was it in
It was,
Really?
it was a primetime show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
it
didn't
was.
realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, from April 1991 to October 19th,
sitcom.
1994. It was a sitcom.
Yeah.
and it actually
It's-
it touched on a lot of different subjects. Like
Yeah,
it touched
it
on
was-
drug abuse.
yes.
It touched on sexual
yeah.
like sexual assault. It did little brief things about LGBTQ rights and like
This was just a show about dinosaurs you used to watch
Yeah.
as a kid.
No.
exactly. I remember literally the people's names, and I'm not even looking at my notebook for
No,
this.
he's not.
He is.
You've got Charlene. Charlene, the main thing I remember about her is she got her scent, which is touching on the period issue for the young girl crowd. But she got her scent, and the one guy that was attracted to her scent was like this big, doofy, redneck, just idiot. But that was the only attention she could get because every woman's different. And then you've got Robbie. Robbie was the son who had the mohawk, who was clearly going through teenage angst issues the entire show.
Yep.
He had a brief stint of steroid use in there, to where he was doing what they called spining. He would eat these little furry creatures that allowed him to gain muscle and muscle and muscle until he started actually breaking out in acne that was spines coming out of his body. It's pretty dope. You've got Ethel, who is one of the best characters on there because she's the old lady. That's Earl Sinclair's stepmom. No, what is it? Mother-in-law.
I have no idea how you're rattling off all these names.
Earl Sinclair, who is the main character, he was a kind of a blue-collar worker,
Yeah.
and he was a tree stripper. Not like he strips on trees, but he literally cleared the ground.
That would have been.
He was a land clearer. So basically, he was walking up to these giant redwood growths and picking them up out of the ground and laying them to clear away. And he was a tree pusher. Was his actual job. You've got Baby Sinclair, who is everyone's favorite.
know
He had
Baby.
jump on the bed and my daddy on the head. Run around the house because they tell me not to. 'Cause I'm the baby and I got to. That he was in a Little Tykes. No, you know what I'm talking about.
Little
that
Tykes?
Yeah, little Tykes, red and yellow, like kick around cars that every person on this planet, or was it Play School?
I know the one you're talking about.
I think it's a Little Tykes.
Playmates?
Playmates, is that who it was?
I don't know.
All right, and the only one that I actually had to look up was Fran, unfortunately, and that's kind of her role in the show. She's the mom. She's taking care of everybody. She's doing everything for everybody else. She never takes time for herself, and she kind of gets left in the background. And that was her role in the show, and that's why I forgot her. Not because I can't remember things, but spawning from that. I also remembered that there were a lot of other shows that I watched like in a religious fashion that so many people did, like Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody watched Power Rangers whenever I was a kid.
Still
Is
do.
that similar to the Star Wars?
Yes.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Because they've got their own universes, they've got their own, canon, they've got a lot of stuff. But basically, it was what Power Rangers was a
Amazing.
was a series that took American actors and recorded them for the acting parts, but all the suited action scenes were recycled footage from Japanese television shows with live action superheroes that had happened 20 years previously. So I mean, it was a weird idea for Haim Saban to try to take that idea, but he went with it. Do you know how much they got paid?
The actors?
Yes, this
At
is the
least
craziest thing. No,
$20.
they got paid $600 an episode.
Jeez. And I had all their faces in my room.
As
pieces of plastic.
as Haim Saban was making billions.
I was about to say, that's
With a B.
not a lot.
B. Worldwide sensation. American kids just ate it like it was crack cocaine. And
Crack for kids. That stuff works.
seriously,
really
like
well.
It really did.
you get dinosaurs, robots,
You got everything.
superpowers, aliens,
Weapons.
magic, like all this stuff, all in one.
Ivan Ooze.
Ugh. That movie.
Guys and girls and guys, gather around and feast your eyes.
It's a great movie.
I had the little action figures where their heads would flip
Yep.
over. They had two heads, and they would just like push their belt button.
Yeah.
Like,
They'd morph.
yeah.
Now the mighty Morphin Power Rangers auto-morphing action figures.
It's morphin' time.
But a lot of people, like me, don't remember the other shows that were on at the exact same time, because Haim Saban created multiple of those entities that never took off the way that Power Rangers took off. They had another one called VR Troopers.
Yeah.
VR Troopers was one that took that same idea of American actors and old Japanese footage, and they put them together for a superhero show. Right, and he wanted it to ride the craze in the mid '90s. This was '94 to '96 of the virtual reality, because virtual reality headgear sets and stuff like that were all just like becoming the rage. People were wanting, like, I don't know if you remember these, but they were called Nintendo Game Gear. And they were just like this black and red virtual reality thing you popped over your head, and you could play like Wario and stuff on it, but then you take it off and you have like a 6-day migraine. It was great. I used to play it every time we went to Target.
Yeah.
But anyway, VR Troopers tried to, ride the craze of the virtual reality, and they had their own morphing sequence and everything else like that. Instead of "It's morphin' time," it was "We are VR."
What did they VR into?
They basically Power Rangers.
Was it?
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
basically
Just a
Power Rangers
different-
spin-off.
basically just it augmented the reality that they were in and gave them superhuman abilities in this augmented reality. There were other ones too. There was the big bad Beetleborgs.
That's the one that I remember,
sounds
the
familiar.
Beetleborgs.
They had these 3 children that worked at a comic book store, which how they did and avoided the child labor laws is beyond my comprehension, but they were there.
They weren't there.
Times were simpler back in the 90s. You know, the good old days. Remember? You remember?
Remember the ice storm in '93?
Me
Yes.
too. I actually finished a game of Monopoly. First time
Remember
ever.
feeling
It's good.
safe? I remember before NATO? When was NATO formed?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I spoke out of turn.
I have half a degree in history, and I know nothing about
The
it.
Beetleborgs were these 3 children that actually ended up stumbling upon this haunted house that had all these monsters in it. And the main monster was a genie, like a genie style apparition named Flabber. And Flabber granted them the abilities of the comic book heroes that they idolized, the Beetleborgs, which it took, after that, the stock Japanese footage that they had, and they transferred it from there. But it was a different idea because you had these kids that would transform into these adult-sized superheroes. So that was cool.
It reminds me of somebody.
Very close to Shazam. But there was that
Shazam?
one. And there was one that was the least memorable of all of them to me, but it's still there, and I can have the brief premise in my head still. So I didn't actually look this up. I jotted these down like on the couch before we walked in here.
Biker Mice from Mars. Is that it?
I hate you.
Is it really it? Is
It's
that
not, but I'm gonna
Oh.
talk to you in a second about that.
All right.
It was
It's behind the scenes.
the superhuman teenage cyber squad.
What?
Okay, I don't remember.
That's one I have
that-
no idea.
That
Yeah.
was impressive for me to pull that out of my butt.
How long?
I thought the first ones were impressive.
Basically, Superhuman Teenage Cyber Squad was in the beginning.
Its real name.
Shut up.
Such a long name. Sorry. Start again from the name.
But basically, the Superhuman Teenage Cyber Squad.
It just rolls off his
Superhuman
tongue.
Teenage Cyber Squad. Superhuman Teenage Cyber Squad.
More time, but slower.
Superhuman Teenage Cyber Squad lotion. Anyway, they would basically log on to a web server
Oh.
and they would transfer themselves into this web server fighting viruses on the web. And this guy was a virus who was their main villain, and he was trying to take over the world by taking over the internet, which was
Oh,
such a
man.
new thing to
Was it-
be able to be even talked about in the mid 90s. Like, to think that somebody could just get into the internet and go places and do stuff without having to hear their
I was about to say, wouldn't half the episode be them dialing up, like trying to get into the server?
that and
It's
yelling
like-
at their mom.
Be
for
like a
picking
Dragon
up the
Ball
phone
Z
line.
fight.
Mom! I'm trying to fight evil! Mom!
Jeez, everything just went red on the.
Just red everywhere.
I mean, I would have too if my mom picked up the phone while I was trying to upload my Essence into the computer. But anyway, that was also a similar thing.
I've never even.
Yeah.
How long did that one run for? Do you know?
That was like 2 seasons.
2 seasons. It got
Same-
2 seasons though.
2 seasons. Same with
That's
same with
impressive.
VR. Well, the thing is though, with these kids shows like that, you could take a very poor plot line and
Yeah.
a very awful subject
Just
and
throw
just put
cool
all-
fighting.
cool fighting, new robots all the time, new upgrades for the robots, and all, it's just like,
And main character's close to our age too.
okay, Power Rangers. Looking
They
back
were
on that,
all 40 years old and playing high school.
No, they were not.
They weren't. They were 25 to 27, and it was
16.
the weirdest thing ever to see them playing 15, 16-year-olds. Like, I just got my license.
I related
I've
to
got a
them.
5 o'clock shadow at 8 o'clock in the morning at school.
I have a
Especially
friend who
Billy.
like-
He was always the old guy.
Oh, yeah.
He always looked like the old
He's
guy.
it's some 35-year-old that's just
His name is David
chilling
Yost.
in high school.
Yeah,
His name
you're
is,
right.
His name is David. I know all of their stories and their names.
I
so
met
don't
one
give
of
me-
them one time.
He was treated very.
He was
poorly
treated
on
very
that show.
poorly because he was a homosexual. So
Oh,
they,
wow.
like the whole the whole crew, not the cast. The cast was really accepting of him. Like, and they loved Billy. They loved David Yost, but they were just like the crew and Haim Saban and the directors. Like, they were always like doing stuff to him to accentuate like him being gay and like making fun of him for being gay.
Like on the set?
Yeah, like harassment out the wazoo.
Or- Wow.
and he stayed longer than anybody should have for something like
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Because he was even in the movie, wasn't he?
He was on there from
he
he
went
was
in
on
the
there from
movie.
the pilot episode of Power Rangers until they got into Power Rangers Turbo.
3 or 4.
Yeah, like multiple seasons, hundreds of episodes, probably like 400
Well,
episodes.
the original Power Rangers had what, like, I don't know how many seasons.
Too many.
But then what was the next one? Was the next one Turbo?
Power Rangers Zeo.
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 And Billy was like their guardian and guide all
Yeah.
through Zero,
And then-
through Zeo, and then here comes. Oh, but I
You
got
didn't know this?
I've got to continue on my list because I've gotten into a
Sorry,
little
sorry.
wormhole here. But the
Those were good.
honorable mentions for my list of shows I forgot I remembered. Animorphs.
Oh, I remember that
That
name.
was a book series. That was a television show on Nickelodeon
I was about to
where
say-
they could turn into animals because they had alien DNA spliced with them. Scientology.
Is that Scientology?
Beast Wars.
Does anyone really know?
You can tell me anything.
Beast Wars, the
Beast-
Transformers
yeah.
series where they were, I never realized watching it as a kid that they were actually on the planet Earth before Optimus Prime and all the other Autobots woke up from their sleep. Like, so they were in the past, like the extreme past. That was through a time warp.
I was more familiar with Beast Wars than I was regular Transformers
I
growing up as
remember
a kid,
Beast
just because
Wars.
of how much
They
I
sold
loved
those at Walmart. I
Beast
remember
Wars,
going
and
there
then
seeing
Beast
the toys.
Wars had a couple more seasons where they had like the transmetals where they had to absorb too much energy, and their actual animal forms started cracking and becoming mechanical, so they called them transmetals. And then they had Beast Wars: War for Cybertron, which was the one where they actually got to go back to Cybertron, but they lost all of their mechanical forms, and they had to rely on the actual organic side of their transformations. So they were like real
beasts.
like they were bionic, like not really bionic. It's like they were a mixture of real animal robot enhancement. It was
It's
awesome.
like they had a chip in their
it.
head.
Someone. Your explanation of all these shows are much better than any of the shows everywhere, by the way.
Yeah, just giving you the highlights. Small tidbits here.
Sidbits.
Sidbits?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
what's a Sidbit?
Sidbit. Goosebumps.
Sidbits?
Goosebumps. The R.L. Stein Goosebumps TV show.
Oh, that's a good show.
Oh, the
the
show.
books are really good.
The books
too.
are really
The
good.
books were based on the show. Did you know that?
The dummy still scares me.
Oh,
the ventriloquist dummy.
The ventriloquist. He was
No.
always.
He's in the Toy Story.
He's in the new one.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yep.
That was on
Yes.
Nickelodeon.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
I'm cold.
And then
You
you've
remember
got
that episode?
No.
I blocked them all from my memory.
Dude.
'Cause
So
There's
terrifying.
this little kid. All he said was, "I'm cold."
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah. That's
Or-
what
and
The Floor's Lava reminds me of that.
Legends of the Hidden Temple actually had to have many reshoots because they would get these kids in there and they'd have these scary, terrifying dudes hopping out from behind these walls to abduct them. And the children that were on this show just said to them, like, and which I don't blame them. Literally,
Right? I
They
mean,
just saw the team prior to them go in there and accidentally, put a golem on a spot that it wasn't supposed to be on, and now they're abducted through a wall. I don't want to do this anymore, baby. Like,
Timmy's gone. He's gone forever.
They're just forcing him to
It's
climb
like-
this mountain.
they basically end up like the rest of.
for our entertainment, children.
It's like they do. It's like they're the other children on Willy Wonka.
Oh,
And
man.
like they're the other
That's
children
deep.
in the
Yeah.
factory that are still going along with this godforsaken candy tour, even though everyone around them is dying.
be honest. Would you have given up?
I'm
No.
keto.
No.
Yeah.
You would give up keto.
You're the only person here that's not. By the way,
Hey, I'm just
Look
starting
at
my
him.
journey. Just starting it.
he's slimming.
There are two more
keto
shows for honorable mention. Street Sharks.
I have not.
Street
You don't remember
Sharks.
Street Sharks?
No.
Street Sharks. I had toys. I had the
That's
toys
one
of Street
that
Sharks
I
because
have no clue.
if I still had those toys, I would have them displayed. They were very well made and they were awesome. You had a shark fin at the top, and their skin was like a synthetic, like latexy, like weird, squishy, like looks real kind of thing. But you would move their fin on the back of their head, and it would force their mouths to open and close.
What?
But it wouldn't like you would see them like open and close like a shark's mouth, like it would expose the teeth and the gums would like draw back. It was awesome.
It sounds
Whoa.
terrifying.
And they wore street clothes.
Yeah,
And it looked
What?
cool.
They were basically what they were. They were a street gang of people that were genetically spliced.
Genetically spliced. Like the Powerup girls.
For you, sir, Mr. Roadhog, you will have a touch and sprinkle of killer whale. Orca.
Street Sharks. I was. Yeah, I
No
mean, it was
clue.
it was awesome. I mean, it was not good, but it was awesome. And the last one on the list, biker mice from Mars.
I got it right, and I hadn't seen his notes. That just goes along with all, especially Street Sharks.
Biker Mice from Mars was a show about these mice that were from Mars that rode motorcycles. If you couldn't get that from the title,
I thought it was a hidden meaning. I really did. I just
you really shouldn't watch the show if you couldn't get that from the title. That's all there was to it. Like that, they had the.
They go
would-
to rallies?
They would have like these antennae that would poke up out of their heads, but they could retract them in, and they would just look like normal 6 foot tall mice.
I think
there's a lot of.
I think
6
Biker
foot
Mice from Mars is very on brand for us to end an episode with. So
That's a good
We
one.
are the Biker Mice from Mars.
yeah, we are.
We might be.
We could be one day.
We might
with
be.
brain chips.
We
Thunder
could have a
lizards
brain chip in us right now, and we wouldn't know because we could be programmed to not remember it.
I hear that the COVID tests are like chipping you.
That's a chip.
There you go. The
Maybe-
5G combined with the nose testing of the corona.
Dude.
And also my voluntary consent for Elon Musk to insert a chip into my brain. Contact me. I want superpowers. Thanks. Also, fix my lower back pain.
Please add that to the updates.
I want to thank everybody for listening to the first episode of
First
Nerd It.
ever episode.
Yeah, first ever episode.
This is very nostalgic.
No matter what anybody tells you,
At least in this timeline.
this is yes in this timeline. First
The
ever
only
episode.
timeline that matters. Once you change the timeline, it's the new one.
Yes.
It's the real one. So
Uh,
that's where we are.
You can hop over on Twitter and follow us at Nerd Grapevine, and we're also on YouTube along with some cooking videos that Austin and I have done. That YouTube channel is called Best Friends Tiny Inc. And Best Friends Tiny Kitchen is the videos on there. So, but yeah, we'll be posting this podcast on there, and also you can find us on Spotify.
Everywhere.
Just look up Nerd It Through the Grapevine. Make sure autocorrect doesn't change that to Heard, because I do not want to get sued.
We do not.
But yeah,
None of
this
us
is this
do.
is going to be a lot of fun, and we're glad you're here with us.
And
at
if
the
I had the
beginning.
brain chip, they could sue me all they wanted to. I would have their banking information.
Oh, forever.
Super spy, man.
We could go
So,
shopping.
For Nerd It Through the Grapevine, when life gives you grapes,
You squeeze them. Is that not it?
that's
wasn't
it
it.
now.
That
There we
wasn't
go. Perfect sign off.
You're welcome.